Welcome back to The Healthy Commute. I'm Dr. Dan. I'm with Dr. Pascal. Today we're going to talk about something that is absolutely essential to a normal, healthy life, and that's sleep.
Yes. And so we're going to talk about not only sleep, we're going to talk about things that affect sleep in a bad way. And then we're going to talk about some tricks and some tips that you can use to get a better night's rest.
Right. So first of all, let's start with how much should we sleep?
Right. So the average person, we all hear, 8 hours a night, 8 hours a night. And yes, 8 hours a night is what is recommended for fully grown or older adults. But really, it can be as high as 14 to 17 hours for a newborn or an infant. So it's basically like a decreasing scale. So we start with 14 to 17 hours for our youngest, and then that can go down slowly with time to a minimum of 8 hours a night for adults. And that's minimum of 8 hours of good sleep, which we'll talk about the difference between good sleep, bad sleep, and sleep cycles shortly.
And in here, and this is, we're going to kind of get into it, but a lot of times people say, well, Doc, I don't necessarily need sleep, or I hear it from my kids and they'll say, no, I don't need all that sleep, I'm fine. So what actually happens when we sleep? What does it do for our bodies?
Which I think everybody understands that we're tired, so you have to sleep because you're tired, so you're not tired the next day. But it's not so that you're not tired the next day, it's really so that your body can repair. So there's all kinds of different damage, if you will, that is done to your body throughout the day, which we're not going to get into the details. But what's happening at nighttime is physiological, so your body's inner workings fixing the damage that happens to your body during the day so that you can repair, recover, and be fresh for the next day. And when you're tired, it's because you haven't repaired enough overnight.
Okay, so that's, now we can understand, okay, well, newborns and kids need more sleep because there's more healing, there's more repair.
And growth of tissue
is massive in terms of, obviously, energy, and we need that, obviously, when we sleep.
You got it.
So let's start off, I guess, with the effects of not sleeping enough. How could that affect our bodies, as a whole?
Well, we were just looking through some of those, very large-scale sleep studies, and some of those very large sleep scale studies have linked lack of sleep with, numerous things. But we could go to like a decreased conscious state. There was weight gain, diabetes, depression, mood disorders, cardiovascular disease, autoimmune conditions. So the list goes on and on and on with all of these, quote-unquote chronic conditions that can be affected by not having proper sleep, which makes sense because you're not repairing the tissues properly. So you're getting into this state of chronic, almost sickness, if you will, without proper sleep.
So brain's not working, body's not working, and things are just not healing the way they should. Almost think of it like, a computer needs to be shut down and updated. And if it doesn't, it just runs slow and runs bad, and it's not doing what it should be doing.
I think, well, we all have probably seen it if you're an adult or a parent and you've had some children that haven't slept through the night properly, and they keep you up. You could probably feel it in the morning that your brain doesn't function properly. You can't think as fast, right? You don't have the same what's called cognitive ability. And so I know I see it in my kids. Boy, they are not bundles of joy when they don't sleep properly. I'm sure you've had the same science experiment at home.
Yes, we've done numerous studies on the effects of improper sleep with their kids, and yes, they're not happy and they're not making right decisions, but as adults, we kind of work around it, but we still go to work, we still do all things. But imagine if you're not sleeping enough, the effect that could have, where you think you're okay, but everyone around you is like, wow, that's Mr. Grumpy Pants, they need to get some better sleep. But
for sure.
Mood, but also depression, right? Those are huge. Yeah. And where the starting point is, and this is not a fix, but this is just to allow your body to function and work the way it was designed to in the first place. So we need our sleep.
So someone might be saying right now, okay, great, Doc, that's fine and dandy. I would like to have 8 hours of sleep, but because of all these different things I have going in my life, I'm not going to be able to potentially get 8 hours of sleep. Right. Okay, no problem. There's also a difference between 8 hours of good sleep and 8 hours of bad sleep. So maybe you're only able to get 6 hours or 6.5. So let's talk about some things that you can do so that the quality of the 6.5 hours are better, and so you can still rest and recover more during that time, right? So some tips and tricks to get better recovery during the time you're sleeping.
So number one on the list, and I think that affects most people, is what's called blue light, which is emitted from, again, smartphones, tablets, computers, TV. That blue light basically tricks your brain into thinking it's daylight, and now it's trying to wake the body up instead of, at the end of the day, the body going, oh, okay, there's no more sun outside, the proper hormones get kicked in, and then basically gets you to go to sleep.
Right.
Whereas for us, we're stuck in front of our cell phones, we're stuck, watching TV, watching the news, on a laptop, working. So our brain is not getting the proper signals that it needs to go, hey, now it's bedtime. So what do we need to do with blue light?
We need to shut it down a certain amount of time before, right? So, the longer the period before you go to bed, the better the effects will be, right? Again, the perfect world, we're going to say about 3 hours before bed, no blue light. Of course, sometimes there's going to be limitations to that, so if you can start with 15 minutes before bed,
great.
Good. And then push that to half an hour, any stretch you can get, good, but the reality is the closer you can bring that to about 3 hours before bed, the better the results will be.
Yeah, and again, it's just little consistency in terms of that change. We'll start at 15, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever it is. Obviously, it's going to help you, as a whole. Right?
You bet.
Number 2 is food.
Yeah.
And we talked about, when we sleep, we are healing, we're recovering. But now, if we've had a big meal, and now our body needs to digest food while we sleep, now it's using all that energy to digest that food instead of doing all that healing and repair.
Yep.
So what's the effects of that?
Well, one, it prevents you from getting into proper deep sleep. So you're not going to get the same sleep quality because you're not getting into the deep sleep. And so sleep studies, and if anybody's tracking their sleep through Fitbit and these different things where you can look at sleep stages, we know that feeling of restfulness the next day is directly related to how much deep sleep you get. So if you have that big meal, you're going to be tossing and turning. Your whole system is working harder to digest that meal, and it can't totally shut down into deep sleep.
So give me some time frames in terms of food. Ideally,
same thing, 3 hours to 4 hours, right? You're going to see a common theme there. We need that period of winding down before bed for a number of reasons. So, if you can make it 3 hours before bed, great. And that's also going to help with what we talked about in our last podcast, which is sort of like an intermittent fast. It gives you a bigger window throughout the night into the next morning where your stomach is empty for your body to have that same repairing response, right? So it's giving your body time to properly rest and not be digesting food.
Yeah.
Okay, so 3 hours before bed would be the ideal.
So same kind of thing so probably for a lot of people, it's that kind of evening snack. You're watching TV, watching that blue light, and it's just almost a conditioning where you're just like, oh, what am I going to eat? So that's where we want to start to make some changes. So ideally, have your dinner, and then that's the last thing you eat before going to bed.
If you absolutely need a snack, stay away from anything that turns to sugar. Okay, anything that's carbohydrate based, you can look on the package, read up about it. Get something that's maybe a higher fat or higher protein if you're going to need a snack closer to bedtime, because that won't at least spike your blood sugar the same, and it won't affect the hormones as much going into your sleep cycles. Okay.
Now, number 3,
supplements. So we're not going to get into dosing, but there are 3 supplements that are very well recognized for helping people get more restful sleep, or even just shutting down the anxiety before bed. Mm-hmm. And those are CBD or CBD oil, magnesium, and melatonin. So all 3 of those, plethora of research, whether it's on PubMed or go talk to your medical doctor, go get some proper dosages for those and start adding those to your routine if you're having troubles, especially falling asleep.
Right.
Okay.
Number 4 is exercise.
Yeah, number 4 is exercise. So not to exercise, well, you take it away, Dr. Dan.
Yeah, so key thing we want is consistency and routine. So what they found is that people that have a normal, consistent exercise routine sleep much better at night. So we need exercise to sleep. Great, they go hand in hand. But what we want to be careful of is not to exercise too late in the day. So now let's say if you're going and doing a hard workout at 8:30 at night, you come back home, it's 10 p.m. and you're trying to get to sleep, it's not going to work, right? So we need either ideally first thing in the morning and halfway through the day. No, my wife just started doing a lot of her workouts first thing in the morning, and for her it was tough to get up in the morning, but now she's finding her sleep is wonderful because first of all she's tired, she's been up, but that consistency in the morning routine as opposed to doing it, let's say, during lunch or at the end of her day is helping her a lot.
And there's a common theme there, Dr. Dan, because again, the sleep studies have shown 3 to 4 hours before bed, right? So there's this common theme about not doing anything too aggressive to stimulate your brain 3 to 4 hours before bed. So if you always forget what time frame it should be, just think 3 to 4 hours before bed, and you're probably safe.
You're safe.
All right, sleep cycle inconsistency. So we know with anything, the more consistent we are, in life, the more consistent we are, the better the results. The same goes for your sleep cycle, meaning the more consistent you are with the time that you go to bed and wake up, the more your body will learn how to rest properly in that time, right? So, we want to try and get to bed by, we'll say 9 or 10 o'clock at night and get up, around 6 o'clock in the morning, the same time every day. And the more hours that we get before midnight, the better it is, right? You don't want to go to bed, as you always tell the people, Dr. Dan, you don't want to be going to bed and waking up on the same day, right? So you want to
you want them to go to bed on the same day.
Correct.
So,
but then, yes. And then wake up the next day.
That's right.
You're not going to bed past midnight.
That's right.
Sorry if I confused anybody.
That's right. That's right.
So getting to bed before midnight is crucial for proper rest, repair, and those hormones, right? So get to bed early and consistently as much as possible.
And when you talked about earlier, where someone's only able to sleep, let's say 6 or 7 hours, this is where it's crucial, where they found that, let's say if someone's sleeping just 6 hours, again 9 to 3 would be better than, let's say, 1 a.m. to 7 a.m. Yeah. So the earlier you could get to sleep, the higher quality of sleep you'll get, and that will make a massive difference in terms of your healing and recuperating.
Fantastic. So the next one
is journal or what to do before bed. Now, I don't know if it's just me, but there's a lot of things happening in my brain between my ears, whether it's things, to do, things I'm trying to remember, things I need to do tomorrow. So there's 1,000 things kind of going through my brain, and I want to basically try to calm that down. So for me, what helps a lot is fiction reading. Right? So you're reading something that this is not the time before bed to read a how-to book and the complexity of the world. You just want to read, get lost in the story. That helps to kind of calm the mind. Nice. The other thing that I do a lot also is, whether it's a notepad or a journal beside the bed, and anything that kind of comes up, for me, I just want to write it down. So for example, okay, tomorrow don't forget to get this at the store for, one of my boys, he needs that. So if I don't write it down, for me, it kind of gets lost in a loop in my brain, and my brain tries to remind me another 50,000 times again, which, I don't need it. If I write it down, it kind of calms that down, and then I could move on and then hopefully quiet the brain and go to sleep.
Absolutely.
So some good reading, fiction, and then a journal.
You bet. Next bullet point or next tip is the environment. So the environment in which we sleep plays a huge role in how well we can sleep. There are 3 things that have to do with your bedroom environment. We want it to be dark, we want it to be cool, and you want to avoid any loud or disrupting noises. Okay, so start with the first one, dark. So getting some blackout blinds. If you have, just because of the world we live in, there's street lights shining light into your room. If there's that little bit of light and it's lighting your room, you're simply not going to shut down as much. You're not going to get into the deep sleep. The darker the room, the easier it is to get into deep sleep. Number 2, cooler environment. Again, I don't know what it is in Celsius, but Fahrenheit is 55 to 66 degrees are known to be the ideal temperatures to sleep between for your room. So that's quite a bit colder, I would say, than most people even keep the thermostat of their home in the winter, right?
So, and sometimes some people would say, wow, that's really cold. If you're normally, let's say, at 72 or let's say 22 degrees for your house, just try, 21, 20, and just to start to see the difference. Even a few degrees makes a massive difference, especially in winter with the furnace kind of kicking in and that kind of hot air circulating. You could really make a difference in terms of the quality of your sleep.
Absolutely. And then the last one is noise. So if you have troubles with noise, whether it's coming from the street or noise coming from other people in your home, getting a white noise machine. I know you love these, Dr. Dan. You guys are big on
We've used them since our first was not a good sleeper, which caused us not to sleep very well. So a white noise machine just basically helped kind of create a little bit of a noise bubble in his room, so that when there was a little disruption, it wasn't kind of causing him to wake up. And then we started using it in our room, and then now all our boys, and we're still using them. Helps me sleep anyway a lot better.
Nice. And then the last one, which is probably as important as all of them, and which we focus on day to day, is helping people with their posture. So the posture, how you sleep, the position in which you sleep is going to affect not only your pain levels, your function levels, and what your spine is going to look like overall. So the posture, your position, and pillow play a big role in sleep quality as well.
So key thing to remember is, let's say if your normal day, you're at a desk, computer, on your phone, your head is going way forward, which is the opposite position that our neck needs to be in. So if you could imagine, your neck is forward, and now let's say you go to sleep on your back and you have 3 pillows pushing your head forward, you're just making all of that worse. So first thing is, ideally on your back, we want support on the neck, not on the head. So we just need a little bit of support, whether it's a little one of those contour pillows or a little rolled up towel, or even if you have a smaller pillow, you could bunch up that pillow in the lower part of your neck to help to create that normal position.
Yep.
Okay. On your side, ideally, same thing. We want our spine to be nice and straight. We again want the pressure on the neck, not on the head, to kind of kink things out. So we want that spine nice and level and straight.
Absolutely. So we hope all of those tips helped, and we'll just go through them one more time just for a little refresher. Remember, we're trying to give you some tips to get the best sleep possible. So we covered 8 things. The very first one was blue light, so shutting down blue light before bed. 2, not eating meals, shutting it down 3 hours before bed. 3, taking supplements if needed to help calm the mind down. 4, exercising earlier during the day. 5, consistent sleep cycles, or going to bed and waking up at the same time. 6 was journaling your thoughts down or reading some fiction. 7 was a quiet, cold, and blackout environment. And number 8 was using proper posture, a good support pillow for the neck, and getting into a good sleep position.
So hopefully those helped you, or will help you get a proper sleep. And again, we're doing this podcast really just to help you just be as healthy as you possibly can be. So if you have any questions, you have any concerns, you have anything going on, please, either give us a call here, 204-474-1159, or you could email us at info@lindenwoodschiropractic.com. And we're here to help. Have a beautiful rest of your day and enjoy your healthy commute.